Hello my beautiful people. So as you can see, different layout yet again. I feel like there's been so many changes recently. The reason I'm doing things differently this week is because it needs to be relevant, right? I believe that we incarnate when and where we choose to incarnate, because we understand that that time, that moment in time, the people that we're born to, that we interact with, that we come into contact with, are going to provide the right conditions and impetus for us to take the journey that our soul truly wants and needs to take. If you were born at this time, and it's an unprecedented time for a lot of people, if you were born at this time, you will be, or you're here at this time, should I say, you're here for a reason to experience this in some way, shape or form. This means that your soul signed up for this. And in order to keep it relevant, I want to help people understand, what is it that your soul is trying to learn right now? A lot of people are being forced to take stock, to stand still. The old contracts, the old world, the old spiritual contracts, it's all breaking down in favor for something new that is coming through now, for a new way of being, a new way of understanding, a new sense of connection. New connections are about to be forged. New ways of doing everything are about to be forged. So, the fact that a lot of us are either sort of on lockdown or having to stay still, having to take a moment. I talked about this in my daily email, if you get it, if you're on my list. And what I talked about was this moment where so many people are being forced to stop, to put their feet on the ground and say, right, okay, what do I think about this? What do I really feel is the next step for me? Why is it that this is taking place? What is my soul trying to learn? And I kind of see this time, when a planet goes retrograde, it sort of takes its journey and then it slows down. And then as it slows down, it starts to come to a stop, and it stations, and then its energy is magnified. What happens under a retrograde, backward, looking back, going over, reassessing, reevaluating, redoing, lots of rewords, rediscovery, remembering, bringing things from the past back for examination to be looked at, re-examining things, right? All of these words are what happen when a planet retrogrades. Well, then it kind of stops and tracks backwards, so we go back over that energy, and then it stops and it stations again, and then it starts to move forward again, and it kind of picks up speed and goes on its merry way. Well, if you think about it, the human race at the moment is kind of being forced into its very own retrograde. So rather than seeking out there or looking out there, this is a time to go within. What is your soul trying to learn? What is it that you are releasing at this moment in time? And what is it that you are welcoming in as a result of all of this that's taking place on this sort of deeper level? If you haven't seen it, I did a series recently on the spring equinox for the different different elements of the zodiac. Check that out. It's on a playlist, and you can find that on the channel. Just hit the playlist button and you'll be able to find it. With that said, this is kind of a mini blurb to explain why the different format, what it kind of means, how it's going to shape up for you. I haven't stuck to the usual format because I don't feel like it's relevant at the moment. I feel like this is the stuff that is kind of more relevant for us, and will probably be more relevant for us over the course of the next week. So let me know, do you love it? Do you loathe it? And with that said, you are heading into your personal taroscope for the week ahead. Take care, love you much, and I'll see you soon. Hi Scorpio, welcome to your week ahead taroscope with me, Raphael from Radiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. With that said, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, yes, I'm still doing them. You can grab that on the link in the description box below. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my deck of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, my little light bearers in the dark, or should I say light bearers from the dark. Your first card out, what is it that your soul is trying to learn this week? You've got the Five of Swords. So this is about learning how to traverse things and how to have, the interesting thing is very often Scorpio will just remove themselves, right? They don't really go into it. And, you know, like everyone knows, they'll only deploy the sting if they're really hurt. Well, how about you move past that? Your soul is trying to learn something new at this time, right? This is what I talked about at the beginning of the video. The Five of Swords is a card of conflict. It's a card of being able to have the difficult conversations without compromising who you are. The fact that your Five of Swords is what you're trying to learn, or what your soul is trying to learn at this moment in time, this is exactly that. How do you have those conversations? How do you say what you truly mean and not have to do it in a way that is all or nothing? Do you know what I mean? Like, wow, if I deploy this, if a Scorpio just deploys the sting, you basically kill whatever's in your path. Well, what about if you could let some of that venom out and maybe just, you know, let it out like like damming a river, right? So you let it out in a slow, steady, gentle stream rather than all or nothing. And I kind of feel like this was what you're being taught to really take on board this week. And interestingly enough, I mean, if you look at that, right, the Five Swords are piercing the head. That really is very telling, right? If, in fact, look at that card for Scorpio energy. That's very interesting. You guys have a tendency to be really hurt by things on a deep level. And much like Cancerians, actually, like Cancerians will just be like, oh, well, you know, you really hurt me. And it's like, okay, there were no signals. You didn't tell me anything about this at all. You know, you just kind of expected me to know. It's the same with Scorpio. It's kind of like you say, well, you know what, that really pissed me off. What you don't say is actually it's taken me to the brink of being seething angry, and I'm really, really angry at you, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to forgive you for it. It's much better for you to be able to say that than it is for you to just kind of remove yourself or, you know, deploy the sting and then just leave. You know, you don't have to beat yourself up in the mind, right? This is a week where your soul is trying to learn how to have the difficult conversation and how to be present for it, how to just say what you need to say. And then, you know, if you still feel the need to walk away, I guess this week, if I'm honest, I feel like your soul is learning conflict resolution, right? Whatever that means to you. And that doesn't have to, you know, it's not the same for everybody. Maybe you don't want to resolve the conflict. Maybe you have nothing else to say. I'm not saying that you do, but I'm going based on what's coming up for you. All right. So what you're releasing this week is the Page of Swords. This is really interesting, right? Really interesting, because you're trying to learn how to traverse some of the difficult conversations, maybe in a softer manner, maybe in a not even a warmer manner, but just in a way that's not so sort of for the person on the receiving end. Whereas your Page of Swords is saying that what you're releasing is the need to be right. What you're releasing is the need to have the last word. And sometimes what that actually looks like is stating your piece and leaving it at that. This really, I don't know, there's a whole feeling here for me that this is about you finding balance with what you say, how you say it, and how you approach some of your conversations. This is a really big moment for you guys, and I feel like it's a very deep moment for you. It's like there's this release of needing to be right or needing to even be heard. Maybe you're just saying what you need to say, but in a way that somebody's actually going to take it. I'll give you an example. If you have an argument with someone and you go in effing and blinding and you're a this and you're a that and rah, 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 even if what you're saying as your message is right, it gets lost in translation with all of the effing and blinding, right? Five of Swords. Whereas if you can just have the difficult conversation and say, you know what, these are the issues that I have, this is what I feel needs to be addressed, you get so much more out of it. And ultimately, the true meaning behind the words or the anger that you feel is actually dealt with and approached. What you're welcoming in this week is the Seven of Wands. So for all of you guys, you Scorpios, you have energy, you have strength, and also your personal fortification, let's say your immune system, all the rest of it. Your Seven of Wands says that it's strong, but what you're welcoming in on a, sort of on a deeper level is this ability to stand and have the conversation, to not, you know what, right, I'm just going to lop your head off or stab you to death with my sting and then walk out. It's having the endurance or finding the patience. This is about you welcoming in patience. And from the many Scorpios that I know, I have to say it isn't one of your strong suits. A lot of people will probably argue that. I have 4 Scorpios in my family. I've got, I think, about 5 or 6 Scorpio friends. I would say I have a fair handle on your energy. You guys know I'm actually a very big advocate of you guys because I know that you're really very deep, very wise. And I've always said that Scorpios come into this world enlightened. They're the only sign that can bear the darkness the way that they do and still sort of remain relatively intact and sane. But your stuff is your stuff, right? So that's one of the things. For your key to the week, you have the Tree of Life. There is a really big, deep change taking place for you guys this week. And if you go within, you could really make a lot of headway this week with really figuring out some of the stuff that has maybe held you back, some of the stuff that maybe has stopped you from getting where you would like to be. And this is about ironing out your personal kinks. And that's not to say that everybody should be a straight lace. We've all got kinks. We've all got, you know, challenges that we're here to work through and all the rest of it. But this week, I mean, for me, this card is divine intervention or divine assistance. This week you could make a lot of headway on an internal level if you consider this stuff that's taking place for you. All right, with that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up for you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.